should we go ahead and get started then? I'll give up on everyone else. Okay, gotcha.
Karen, I know how formatted and formal should they be.
So if you, do you have a site agenda? I can do that, but I can also.
Oh, just pull it right on
bullet
screen.
points? Sure. So it
Okay.
doesn't have to be word for word, like so-and-so said and so-and-so said, it's just
But I could pull it up on
overall.
screen.
Kind of high level gist of what we talked
Yep.
about is
Yep.
pretty much it. So,
Either way.
unless I might do it because no one else showed up.
And
So,
if you don't have your copy of that, you can just do it in Word as well.
Okay,
yeah, that's why it is. I just did it in Word and then had just a numbered list. And that was easy. Cool. Thank you. Cool. Well, do we have any public comment?
Oh,
How
yeah.
you doing?
Good, how are you?
No.
No? All right. Do you want to go ahead and share your information with us?
Sure. So what you have is the.
Oh, yeah.
You have to go to the
Thank
mic.
you.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to get nervous, like I'm up here for a cause or something.
Oh, yeah, it's just
Off in the green light. So
Yeah.
it's a really rough draft right now of it's basically a survey that they'll take people who are interested in I would love feedback from you on what this is, on what you want to call it. I called it, I don't know if it's a certification or if it's what you plan on having the official title. So part of it, the first part is meant to be more educational. With going through energy and solid waste, water conservation, and then transportation. And then the second part would be where they would sort of commit or make pledges to doing different items. And so I don't know, I've seen some of the other ways that they have them, Energy Star and other ones have things like that where they say, please commit to 5 different items under these areas that you will do. And they can be as simple as reminding employees to turn out the lights in the restrooms or different things like that, or, you know, just signing up for a compost service and going through and setting up a program. So I don't know if that's, you know, that's where I could use your feedback, is on that information as far as how much you would like them to commit to. And I've also mentioned several times on there that it's that we are supporting Boulder County and PACE, and that they can start out by going to PACE and getting an audit on these different services. So I can also maybe pull it up if you want to walk through it a little bit. We can pull it up and
Sure.
Go through the survey. So I don't know if you can pull up survey or whoever.
Oh, where is it? Okay.
It's, yeah, you can just go to surveymonkey.com,
Just open another one.
but I'll have to do the sign in if you want. I don't think Lisa would be happy if I broadcast everybody's password.
It doesn't seem to be working.
Oh.
Is it?
Turn it on the top right.
Top right. Oh, yep, that'd be helpful. All right, cool.
There we go. Yep, and then we'll just click on that and go to login, and if you don't mind, I'll
Sure.
go up there.
Actually, if you want to go ahead and take the keyboard and mouse so you can directly,
Sure.
whatever's easiest.
And so the idea is that I only did part of it, that I separated out all of the questions in the right way, but let's see. Gosh, is that it? It's all automatic on my computer. I hardly type these in anymore. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's the whole thing. There we go. Nothing like watching people type in their passwords and stuff, right?
We'll all stare at you intently.
Yeah. Doing this. There we go. All right. So yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a recognition or a certification or what you wanted to do. So let's see, I should be able to preview. And the way I can have this set up is I can have this set up so that they can go through the questions and they can be scored on them, and they can either be asked to go back and redo it again if they don't get some of the basic things, or it can just tell them, you know, it gives them the answer basically at each one that we go through. So let's see if it's got it through here. All right, so basically it's just giving them a general thing of why sustainability is important and how communities can, or businesses can help improve their community, but also some of the benefits to the businesses as well. Using triple bottom line, and then some of the things to keep in mind for businesses. This is the exact same as the printout that you have. You know, that it's popular. Both employees and customers are looking to sustainability in businesses, and it can attract a lot of businesses, a lot of customers that way. And then this is just the energy section. And then I give a little blurb at the top of each area about just some sort of facts about energy usage in the United States and in the commercial sector. And let's see if I can get rid of the okay and that. And then just a few, you know, quick things like that. I haven't gone through and made a difference, you know, as far as if they click on it and it's not correct, whether or not they go back. But I do, again, give little things of information like this, little tidbits. Mm-hmm. So again, try and get the correct answers. Hopefully I know them. So, but that will be on the next page after you click OK.
Okay.
So that's the kind of format. Let's see. I probably have to get them right. I don't know what happens if I get them wrong. I haven't tried it yet that far. Let's see if I do incandescent. Yeah, it still goes through right now. So that's up to you on the format, whether you think it would be good to have them go back and do it again or just provide the correct answer. And again, it'll be on separate shades. So that type of thing. And then this will be where, again, going through solid waste. So it goes through that for each one of them. I don't know how many questions that you're interested in having. Typically it's, you know, 4 or 5. Each section is the most that I've really seen. You know, so if you have an idea of how rigorous you want this, or if you want this to sort of be more of an opportunity to educate them, and then when we get towards the end to say, you know, these are the things that you can do. So I don't know if you've discussed that yet. It hasn't been passed on to me so far. So let's see if I can get through this.
I think mostly so far today, at least, Lisa's been the main one suggesting that we have this as sort of an educational tool.
Okay.
And sort of a lead into PACE and some of the other things.
Okay.
So, Essie, for the purpose of the video, would you mind just kind of reintroducing what Dana is going over? Or Dana, if you would like to introduce exactly what this survey questionnaire is going to be for, just for purposes of the video and people watching at home.
Sure. My name is Dana D'Souza, and I am here on behalf of Lisa Skumatz and the ACES committee. Sorry, I'm trying to remember that one now. And we are working on an online tool for businesses in the town of Superior that are interested in sustainability, and developing a tool that will be educational and informative, as well as asking them for different commitments that they can make towards sustainability in the effort to get either a sustainability certification or recognition from the town and the committee. Is that about right? Okay, so I think that's all I had.
And it covers,
Okay.
it looks like energy, waste, and then water efficiency as well. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
4 areas. And that's up to you. I only heard a sustainability type program, somewhat like PACE. That's all I heard. So,
Okay.
so if I'm way off, please let me know because I'm not sure exactly where this was meant to be. But this would be the area then when they would, it gives a little bit, again, same as what you have on your printout. And then they would go through in each area, they would click, and we could have like 10 different items here of what they can choose, depending on how many items you think that they should commit to. So do you have any general thoughts on that? Have you guys discussed anything at all on that as far as what?
So the other thing that we're doing currently is working with the PACE program to try and have more outreach within the community for PACE.
Great,
And then also have a building certification through that.
okay,
We'll have to get other people's thoughts, but I feel like probably this is more well suited as sort of an educational kind of first step to learn about
okay,
different sustainability options rather than like a certification per se.
sure,
And I don't really have any aversion to having people commit to do things, but I feel like we should just be clear on what the different offerings are within the town, and that this is separate from PACE. I don't know, does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I like the idea of this, though.
Yeah, I think at the very least it would be a very useful first step to provide some education. Will we have a chance as well to review or revise some of the tips?
Yeah.
As well? Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm wondering if we can go back.
Whoops, sorry. Wonder if we can go back to that point thing, remember that we had when we were initially tried to start the whole business?
And my
Guideline
only
thing.
concern, I was thinking about that too, but my only concern with, so we had put together originally kind of like suggested measures for commercial buildings with point values associated with different things that people
Okay.
could do.
Mhm.
And so we're kind of incorporating that in different ways, but I think if we're going to have PACE be providing kind of building certification and having a different sort of point structure
Oh,
within
definitely.
that, then
Yeah, I was just thinking about the things that we came up with on there that we thought were valuable, maybe just making sure there's questions that kind of surrounding
Yeah.
it, that's all.
Sure.
That's
That'd be
all.
okay,
helpful.
I didn't word it very well, but that's what I was sort of thinking.
Gotcha,
Take-
okay.
Take that, because we kind of had identified that as things that people
Mhm.
prioritized around here. We can incorporate questions around that too with this.
Yeah.
That's
I-
just a thought.
Yeah, and I
Not
definitely
necessary.
think that, ideally we would want to have things around energy audits and LEDs and advanced lighting controls and
Right.
cloud thermostats and those types of things. But no, I really like it
Okay.
in general.
So it is more of a recognition than any type of a certification as far as, I mean, are you going to put their names up on the website if they go through this or?
I'm not sure that this is really comprehensive enough for us to really call them certified or something necessarily. But I do think we could provide a list of, here are local businesses that have undergone like this training and kind of approach it as like a free training resource.
Okay,
If that sounds
Yeah, well,
reasonable
it
to
feels like
people.
the PACE program that we're pursuing includes recognition,
Right.
certification and recognition, so I would want to avoid confusion by having something separate that has recognition. I think it'll be confusing if there are two things that look like they're both building sustainability recognition,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the same. I think that businesses and people will be confused about what that is. So it sounds like the purpose of this is more educational than recognition
okay.
or certification, is that right?
That's my feeling.
So they won't be so it's not they're not gonna get like a spotlight, town spotlight or something, something sent out, like saying, this business, just like as a pat on the back or something, just so people are aware and that they're taking this initiative. Will they get any, could they get any sort of, well, I know not a certification per se, but could they just get a high five or something like that for doing it?
I mean, we could certainly consider like in some of the town newsletters highlighting.
Yeah, I think that might be.
I guess my only hesitation is just that this doesn't actually ensure that anything actually happens as a result of this. It's just them taking a survey, which is great, and it's a great first step in terms
Yeah.
of education. But
So that,
without
they
any
have to actually take the
verification,
steps to,
yeah, and if they're taking steps,
Yeah.
then that's kind of where PACE more fits in.
I understand.
Most
Okay.
likely. So you know, I think we could highlight like local businesses that have shown interest in efficiency or something like that. But I'm hesitant to have anything stronger than that unless we actually verify that something's happening as a result of this. If that seems reasonable.
How are we planning on getting the word out about the survey?
That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if Lisa or others have any plans for that yet. I think at the very least we could certainly put it on our website and highlight it that way, and then highlight in the newsletter as sort of a free training resource as well.
Are you planning on gathering information? When you mentioned survey, I was just wondering, is this something that you're planning on gathering information on what businesses in town are doing, or are you just strictly, again, as an educational type tool?
That's a good question. Might be useful to get some of that information for our work going forward, just to see where different businesses are at. So yeah, that could be a useful tool that way.
And there's a lot of communities that do things that don't necessarily do a certification, but do a recognition. And they'll say, these towns have committed to taking these actions, or have committed to taking sustainability actions, and they put their name up on the website, and some of them give them little stickers that they can, recognize this Spices Barrier as interested in sustainability or different things like that. And sometimes they make a big difference to different companies.
Yeah, and that's something we're actually looking at really closely with PACE, and that's why I'm just a little hesitant, because I don't know what stage that's at yet. So without knowing more about that, I don't want to say that we're going to have kind of duplicate efforts. But I certainly think we could highlight here are local businesses that are expressing an interest and learning more about efficiency and sustainability and that type of stuff. As long as it's really clear that it's separate from the actual building certification. But I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on that.
Yeah,
No.
I'm generally in agreement with you that if we try to have two separate recognition programs, it'll just be confusing.
Yeah.
So we should just
I think this
have
would
the
just,
one and the PACE one, and so then we could use this tool for something different, which is more either educational or gathering data that's useful to us.
we're pushing people, not pushing, I didn't mean
Or
it quite that, but we're
promote-
pushing them towards the PACE,
Yeah,
because it's like,
using
it
it
shows
as a
that you
gateway.
can do things
You're on your
regardless
way.
if
You're
you
well,
thought.
if you can do
Yeah.
this, you're on your way.
So, because
Yeah.
everybody, you can see people will be like, funny, these questions, yeah, it's in an old building. Well, just because you have an old building doesn't mean you can't work with PACE. So a lot of it is just that message of like, yes, you can, yes, you can.
Well, and I think also there's opportunities to highlight that there's not necessarily always one size fits all sorts of measures for a given business type, and highlighting the importance of getting an actual audit for energy or water or whatever is super valuable. Yeah, Jim? He's going to kick you off.
No, you can say. Hi, Jim Payne. Just a suggestion, since you're trying to distinguish this from the PACE effort, maybe that's a reason to tie it in with the chamber, and it could be some sort of a chamber-branded thing. Just a suggestion. Then it would distinguish it.
Sure. Well, thanks. Yeah, I think either that approach or, kind of to your point, tying it in more closely with PACE, so it's sort of an initial first step to kind of raise awareness, provide some education, maybe get some information, and then kind of lead them to the next step.
So, and I will make a comment here that in Lisa's email, she did call it, say that Dana had been working on a business sustainability training questionnaire.
Cool, okay.
So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's kind of the same general idea there. Okay, well, that sounds great. So should we just reach out to you directly with feedback, or what's the best approach?
Yeah, absolutely.
for-
You can either send it to Lisa Skumatz, or you
Okay.
can send it directly to me.
Okay.
It's just, Martin has my email as well. So, and yeah, if you send what you've already worked on, that would be great.
Okay.
And I'll just plan on updating it and put your comments in.
Perfect, thank you so much for putting this together.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is gonna be great.
Let's see if I can make that up.
Any other final comments or thoughts or questions?
And I can return you your
Thanks, great.
your keyboard.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Any more public comment? So we can hop down to the new business and updates. I'm not sure, are there any new newsletter items that are worth discussing?
So if you just want to go back to the June newsletter, I'm not sure if everyone has seen this, but these are the relevant county programs that we put in the newsletter each month. And if you'll scroll down just a little bit, the paint, oops, just went right past it, is the focus for this one. So it's just kind of right there at the top, so that gives information about how residents can recycle their paint. And then if you scroll down to where it says for more or important information right here, it just kind of goes through all of the ongoing programs and things that we are currently working on as far as the yard waste services, trash on windy days, and bulk item discard options. And I believe, yep, this is just that section there. So just kind of goes through those ongoing programs. And then there was a section up at the top with the committee bullet points. It was also in the Pros newsletter, and then they put it in the Sentinel as well. So there it was with the picture from the compost. Just keep going down a little bit, right there. And then if you keep going down, it shows the advisory committee updates and the historical commission corner. So it just kind of goes through that.
Awesome, thanks.
Uh-huh.
There's an item about Energy Smart IQ. Can you go find that? Yeah, this one. Energy Smart just launched, it looks like it's saying Boulder County launched a new program for renewable cooling and heating. $1,600 in rebates. This looks like something we should learn more about.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to look at that right now, or?
Well, I can take a note to look at it more later.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure we saw that. But yeah, Great.
Do we also ever promote new kind of rebates or offerings from Excel in terms of opportunities for residents? Thank you so much.
So I'm sure that if there is something that is out there, that as long as we're made aware of it, and it's relevant for residents here in the town of Superior, I wouldn't see why we couldn't promote something like that.
Okay, cool.
So if you have something like that, you can.
They
send
do
it to
have
me.
something.
They do,
Yeah,
and
I have a brand new
Martin
one.
has politely asked me more than once to write up something, and I haven't. So,
Well, they have a new solar offering that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
if you have you write something up and send it your way.
Yeah,
that's helpful
absolutely.
to include.
because they have the whole rebate finder tool just on their website that has stuff. Remember I was talking about, like, we got the free Ecobee,
Yeah.
like thermostat and all sorts of free stuff.
Yeah, and they just rolled out a new offering too. That's pretty cool, where basically residents can sign up for a share of a brand new solar farm that's being built, and basically get 100% renewable energy, effectively equivalent to what their house consumes, for very, very low cost per month. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. All right, so for the July 4th event, do you have notes on who agreed that, or said that they'd be able to attend? I can't remember.
So I
who-
don't. I went back and looked at notes, and I didn't think we had anyone. I don't think we've had the opportunity with everyone here to actually
Gotcha.
discuss July 4th. So
Okay.
we just kind of needed to talk over and with members that are here about who would be available to attend. And we will have a booth that will be shared with another committee. And Martin has some things here that will be given away at that event. And so whoever is able to be at that event can take these items tonight so that we can have them at the event on July 4th. And then the other thing that I thought would be a good idea is to do a little bit of recruitment. I can print out applications. I can do a little flyer with the website address. If we didn't want people to have to stand there and fill out the application there, they could take a little business card home with the address on it where they can go to apply, but it would kind of be a nice time to do a little bit of recruitment. I know that at
Yeah.
National Trails Day, OSAC was doing the same thing and
Oh, nice.
passed out some applications, and so that would be an excellent idea as well. And we could put a flyer together with some, recycling information on one side and then information about the committee on the other with, a website at the bottom.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
So we just kind of needed to see who was available on July 4th.
I think I am, but I'm not 100% sure. So you can put me down as most likely available.
Ditto for me.
What are the hours for, is this just post-parade? Because I'm marching in the parade with Girl
Ooh.
Scouts.
Nice.
Again.
It usually is post-parade, so like during the pancake thing. So I don't know,
It'll be a
like,
hot mess.
Martin, do we sort of have like an official time as to what that is?
Yes.
Sorry, only because I know Karen, when I know she has done it before.
It's early in the morning when you go. Martin Tothtown staff. So the July 4th event has the downhill mile run early, and then the parade starts around 8 or a little after 8, and then the event at the park is usually around 9. So we need somebody there a little before 9 to help get set up, and sometimes it lasts till about noon typically, unless it's really hot. Sometimes it starts breaking down a little sooner. So usually the members of the committee, if they're able to attend, can maybe attend all of it, or maybe like the first hour or 2 hours, and then somebody step in the latter half. So one at the beginning, one at the end, or maybe one or two for all. It's typically what most committees do.
Well, I won't be doing the parade because I'll just keep that tradition going. So I could certainly commit to showing up to make sure everything was set up and then staying till whenever.
Okay.
I can probably, after the parade, I can
Come and show up.
probably,
Would you want to ditch all those Girl
to
Scouts?
ditch my husband and 3 kids too. So maybe I'd be there more a little after
10 or-
9.
Yeah, that sounds good.
9:30 or so.
Get yourself some breakfast first for having to deal with the kids.
So hopefully, yeah, I'll try to see if that would work, that I can attend that.
Cool.
Thanks.
And you
I'll
can
plan
just show
on-
up with the baby
I'll talk
whenever.
with my wife and figure out when I can show up.
Babies love pancakes.
That's true.
I don't know if you're eating pancakes yet, but.
Yeah, he's still on kind of soft, real food, so.
They're
we'll see.
mushy. It's the good time to start.
That's true.
And they got berries. They have berries
true.
always,
Berries are
so,
good. Yep.
you know.
Hopefully he'll have some teeth by then. but
Are you
never
going to be
know.
gone, Mike?
I'll be out of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know normally we are, so I just have no idea. Suddenly
Yeah.
we're going to be here. I'm like, okay.
It would be nice to be there. I'll miss you guys.
Yeah, right. So sweet.
Is the booth going to be shared? Do we know that?
Mhm.
It's
It
gonna
is,
be-
yes.
okay.
So Michelle, are you okay to take all the swag and stuff with you?
Yeah. Yeah, I just got to make sure I don't forget. So let me put a calendar reminder in.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Right now that I had to take it with me.
Okay. Committee reappointment update?
Yes, so on June 11th, at the board meeting, all committee appointments were made, and Essie and Lisa were reappointed through June of 2021.
Woohoo! Cool. Do we want to have a discussion about recommendations for the 2019 budget? Not sure.
That's Martin.
I'll jump in for this one. I'd like Karen and know that I would help. Like I mentioned last month, we've talked a little bit about the budget process, and you guys have all seen it over the last couple of years. Michelle has seen my spiel on this more times than she probably cares to remember. But I volunteered to come and help try and finalize any of the new ideas, or just bring this back up with the group and try to answer any questions I can on budget process. But before we move on, I wanted to, before we move on from committee reappointment, maybe recognize the new member officially on
Yeah,
video.
thank you.
In addition to the reappointment, Eileen was appointed by the board last month. And this is your first meeting, so thanks
Yes.
for joining.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks.
It's great to
You
have
didn't
you.
even get to come to the dinner.
So
Great to hear
recommendations
all
for the budget. As you have you have all the power. I think you have the mouse and the keyboard. So if you click that middle Word document, those are last year's meeting notes that highlight the board's discussion or the committee's discussion on the budget. So I think if you scroll down a little bit, right there. So every year about this time, staff works feverishly to submit the annual budget for next year for our operating budget and 5-year capital budget. Like you've heard me over the last couple of months, this is the opportunity for all of the town's advisory committees and commissions to ratify or try to continue to any of the ongoing programs or recommend any changes or new programs. So we've talked about some of the programs that are included in the committee's work plan as ongoing items. And then over the last couple of years, there's been a few new items that have been added. So the dog waste compost program, the Xeric landscape education, the purchase of the outreach materials, the light bulbs were the item this year. And an item that the committee has talked about and Michelle has continued to champion, exploring the options to coordinate with the Rock Creek Master Homeowners Association to host a bulk pickup item, partially funded by residents. And then staff resources. The group's talked a little bit about having some dedicated staff resources at different levels over the last couple of years, whether that was having an ongoing part-time or an hourly consultant versus having an actual full-time or part-time regular employee that was dedicated to sustainability activities, which doesn't exist currently. It's an add-on task, like you know, from my department. And Karen's position was established earlier this year to help support this committee specifically and serve as the liaison in this role. So those are the items that have come up in the last couple of years. One more, the participation in the Garden in a Box program, and then the permanent staff resources. So this is the opportunity, like I've mentioned over the last couple of months, think about the programs that have been going on, and then if there's any changes that make sense, or the committee would like to have the board consider through this year's budget process, this is a chance to make those recommendations or change some of the ongoing programs. Ideally, it would make sense to have a motion from the group, but since you don't have quorum tonight, if we could just have an expression of support or just everybody agree that the current programs are ones that can make sense to continue carrying on through next year's budget. The group is going to be invited, like every year, to participate in the Finance Committee review hearings that happen in this room over the course of the summer during the budget's review, or during the board's review of the annual budget for next year. And you, of course, will be invited to participate if there's anything in there that you're interested in speaking to the board directly on. Anybody is invited to come down and hang out with us and go through line by line 40 pages of 40
It's
tabs.
fun. I mean, I don't know that we really need to change anything that we've had ongoing. I just don't think that a lot of things are going to cost as much, and we don't necessarily need the consultant this year. We don't have anything planned. PACE is pretty much covering all that, so we should focus on like recognition, money for recognition, sort of stuff.
Would be valuable.
Yeah, for whatever we're going to do with that. And then, I don't know, we should do like some weird pie in the sky money thing too, though.
And if you have found any opportunities for EV charging that's actually feasible, that would impact the budget?
Yeah, well, the opportunity is that the town could apply to the state's, it's the Charge Ahead Colorado initiative, which offers 80% cost share up to a certain maximum to support electric vehicle charging. We know that the town board has expressed interest in electric vehicle charging for the new downtown Superior developments. So our opportunity would be to propose to the board that the town try to build those installations downtown, and that they seek state funding to cover the majority of the cost. But the town does need to cover 20% of the cost, and so there would be some budget that the town needs to provide. I think really understanding the specific costs would actually take some more legwork, and working with the developer, understanding what the utility costs would be. There might actually be some more research required to understand the exact numbers. But it's several, depending on what type of charging station you want, at least several $1,000s for a few installations from the town, potentially more. So the opportunity would be for the state to cover 80% of it, though. So it's a good opportunity, and it meets a question or a goal we've heard from the board already. Okay. So I'm open to suggestions on what's the best way to request some budget be allocated to that, if possible, to cover the town's portion of the cost share.
I'll take a swing at it. So
Yes.
the Charge Ahead Colorado grant is a grant that the town participated in 2 years ago in order to get the three replacement EV stations that we have. And the grant paid for the purchase of the equipment, not for the installation. The installation was the expensive part.
Oh.
So the feasibility element that I think you're talking about, Mike, is a little bit about figuring out just what those costs would entail in order to put the infrastructure in to install the station, not just the station itself.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that's what I think would take legwork, because you'd have to get feedback on the utilities over at the site, and whether trenching is needed, and all these construction related issues that it's hard for us to estimate on our own. So I think I suspect that's what would be needed to estimate the cost, and in order to make a specific request of the budget. But there is this, the state grants appear to come up several times a year on a rolling basis, so there will be opportunities. But the question is whether we can get anything into the next fiscal year's budget that allows us to pursue that grant, or whether there's no opportunity to do that, given the information we would need and the time we have to resolve that. I mean, what's our time? I mean, if we think we would need to go to the town and say, we need $12,000, if we think we need to be able to give a specific number, that requires legwork, which may take some time. And I don't know how much time we have to submit our requests into the budget process.
Timeline for budget is work on it over the summer and have the budget finance committee review, and usually by September-ish, try to be done. And then have the public hearings for them. I think they're in September, maybe the second board meeting in September, first meeting in October as a fallback. So the initial submittal is what I'm tasked with for our department for tomorrow to finalize the submittal. And then we have an internal budget review team that'll work on it over the next month or so. And then the meetings will be set with the town board to go over it in detail during those committee sessions to go through it line by line. So there will be some changes. It's not a one and done if it's not submitted by tomorrow, that there's no opportunities going forward. But ideally, I'd like to have something to include tomorrow when I hit send.
And we need like specific dollar amounts? Is that what you're saying? Sorry.
Yes. Or at least a placeholder if you had a specific.
And how
or-
many stations would be reasonable? I don't know if that is something that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some decision making. I think ideally we'd be able to do research and come back to the board and say, you could do 2 stations for this much or 6 for this, and then get some feedback, and they can weigh in and make a decision. I think it would take some time for us to develop that sort of information. So it's possible that we make a guess of some medium option and try to get it in as a placeholder, and then do additional work over the next couple months to refine it.
I don't know when the next budget cycle is, so if there is an appropriation for next year, it seems like they come out at the end of the year for installation in the subsequent year. If you're thinking of, I guess I get some of the emails, I think.
Oh, for Charge Ahead Colorado?
Yeah, for the Charge
I
Ahead.
think they come out 3 times a year, so it's on a more frequent,
It's not quite
cycle?
quarterly, it kind of rolls
Something like
a little
that.
bit. So
right?
if
But it's more than once a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we need a place, and I know we can't come up with a number, but like he's saying, he sort of needs a placeholder, so it's not much money that we've been able to ever get. So what was our biggest expenditure ever that we got for the budget was for the consultant, correct? If I'm not mistaken? The biggest amount of money RCAC was allotted to spend was for the consultant, and what was that, like 5,000? Something
all
like that.
all the items that are in your work plan all have a lot of them have an associated budget. with
Well,
them,
yeah,
whether
yeah,
it's the
but I'm
school
just saying-
programs or,
I'm just saying for a specific new thing, that was a new thing that we did, and we knew because it was a certain amount of money that we were likely to get the okay for it, yeah? Because if we just need some sort of a placeholder from us, we can at least say 20% of a big level 3 station is going to cost the town at least 6,000, right?
the super fast stations, I think are what, $50,000, $65,000, $75,000?
It varies widely based on whether they need to upgrade the utility infrastructure or not.
Mhm.
And so it's really hard to tell. 6,000 would be at the very low end.
Yeah.
20% of the cost, I would think.
For the ones, the charge point that we got 2 years ago, or installed last year, I want to say they were around $7,000 or $8,000 as part of the.
For this one or the one over by the police station?
The one over in the mall was installed by the folks who own the mall. That didn't have anything to do with the town. The one that's south of Target is the same as the one that's right outside the door here, the charge point. They were around, I want to say the retail cost was about $8,000 for the hardware itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you happen to know about the one that's by the sheriff's station over here?
I
Okay,
don't.
because that's one of the high-speed ones.
Mhm.
Must be
Okay.
popular.
Well, it sounds like we're probably not going to be able to have a clear enough estimate of cost to be able to put in this budget cycle, most likely, unless we have something specific enough that we can refine. But it makes sense to maybe consider like a consultant or something to look for EV charging opportunities within the like downtown or now the northwest area that's also being considered for development. Is that something that might make sense for us this year? So that when next year rolls around, we can make sure to have something clearing and stuff in the budget proposal. Or do we want to try and make a guesstimate to include in the budget for this year?
I'm sorry, I see. When you say this year, I'm thinking 2019. Is that what you
Sorry,
mean? Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay, so-
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, so have something identified for the 2019 request to do an installation in 2020? Or both in 2019?
So I was thinking either having a rough value for the 2019 budget for EV installation, or put in a request for money in 2019 for a consultant that would help us identify maybe best places to put the EV charger, and what opportunities are available, what makes the most sense, so that in 2019 we can make a recommendation for 2020 for installation, if that makes sense.
Okay, I caught up. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Definitely
Yeah, I
wasn't
think,
clear the
I
first
think it's
time.
clear that it's going to take some work actually to develop this plan and the
Yeah.
cost estimate and different options. I don't know if we on the committee have the appropriate time to do that amount of work
That's
that's
kind of my
needed.
concern. I don't really want to
So
push
I-
it off the whole year, but
That's
at
what
some
I'm
point-
concerned about as well. So unless there's
Yeah.
staff time or a consultant or something, so that's, the suggestion is find somebody who can do that legwork and
That's
build
actually
this
an
out for
interesting
us.
point, because I sort of said we don't need a consultant for anything this year, but that actually would probably be the perfect thing, like to help
And that's something the
plan
board's
out and
directly asked us to do.
manage. Yeah, plan out and manage
Yeah.
what really that sort of a development needs to support.
I think,
this
yeah,
sort
because
of
I think we
plan.
have no idea what the, look at the size of the town and how many stations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Oh.
Tesla's going in right there, aren't they?
Yeah, so let's
Possibly. Yeah.
so let's do that. Yeah.
that
So why don't we just go back to a consultant to make sure that sort of all that environmental stuff and EV charging and whatnot can happen there, based on town's
It
recommendations
just
and
gets the
stuff like
information
that.
so we
Yeah.
can actually provide a, more specific estimate to the board and proposal. Does that sound reasonable?
So maybe some investigational work next year by a consultant to put together feasibility and
Exactly, yeah.
prospective
and
budget
figure
for
out
the following year?
best- Yeah,
Okay.
and I would think that would be a similar level to what we've gotten for consultants in the past. If that's. sounds
Which
like
was
it.
what, a few $1,000?
I think it was like 5,000 or something, is that correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been around $5,000 the last couple
Okay.
of years. For hiring an engineer, somebody with some specific construction-related background or engineering expertise might be a little more, but it might be a more concentrated time frame to do some work.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I
it
mean, it
seems
feels
like
like a
50 hours would
discrete
be doable.
project that
Right.
we could fund someone to do for the town
Yeah.
if we had the budget.
All right, so would everyone be in support of proposing that we maintain funding for all existing programs and offerings, and then also add in, let's say, $5,000 for consulting? Is that,
I think that sounds
Feels good to
reasonable.
me.
okay.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
so I think we're all in support. We can't pass a motion, but yay.
Perfect.
It does. It sounds like the right plan because that's a good point. Like we can't do any of this stuff. That's left to a professional.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. All right, thanks so much for your help. I'll work on getting that submitted.
Yeah, thank you.
I am sorry, Gang, but I have to take off.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us for a bit. No problem. Sounds good to see that. Cool. So we kind of went over the Green Business Recognition Program. I think the only other thing to really discuss is that Caitlin is still in talks with PACE to keep that process moving forward as well. I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to discuss about that. Take us no. So hopefully she can make it next time. Let's see, we had dinner with the town board. I think they're excited for us to continue, they're kind of excited for the new direction that we're taking in terms of being more comprehensive around sustainability. I'm not sure if you were aware previously, we're RCAC, so the Recycling Conservation Advisory Committee. So heavily focused on recycling, and now we're have approval to kind of broaden out and focus on all aspects of sustainability. So they're excited about that and look forward to any recommendations we may have. They're also especially interested in kind of education that we can provide to the town to help, promote awareness and that sort of thing. So I don't think there's anything else super
Okay.
notable about that. So the last item, I guess, is the newsletter bullet points. So 3 to 5 items that we're currently working on that can go into the newsletter for the month. So I think one thing could be that we had a discussion around electric vehicle charging and kind of identified a potential need for a consultant to come in and provide some more specific estimates and feedback there.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the July 4th event and planned that out in terms of who's going to attend. And what's one more thing we did?
What is the pros newsletter?
I can help
Okay.
with that. So my position is new to the town as the committee coordinator, and within that position, I am working with all of the committees across the board to kind of get out to the committee get out to the community what the committees are working on.
Okay.
And this is kind of our first step in order to do that. We're putting together, if you receive the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Department newsletter each month, there's a section in there that's the advisory committee update.
Okay.
And it was also put in the Sentinel as well.
Okay.
And it just kind of gives the town a little bit better of an idea of what the different committees are working on. It's also kind of a recruitment piece. I'm hoping, I've had 2 people that have seen the May bullet points and were like, wow, I had no idea that the committees are actually working on this amount of projects. And so they thought it was pretty cool. And I was like, well, what committee do you want to be on?
Excellent.
And they didn't commit, but we'll still work on that.
Fingers crossed.
So that's kind of what this is about, to just kind of make sure that the community is aware of what the committees are working on.
We should probably put the business,
Yeah,
Yes, I
know,
definitely think keeping
Yeah.
that
Survey.
in,
Training
yes.
and-
or what do we want to call it? I guess we don't want to call it. I think
maybe
we had,
green business training and recognition. So we need to talk about the PACE program as well, which is the recognition part of that. Cool. Anything else we want to add as a bullet point? Well, we have 3, so call it good. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss before we conclude the meeting? I think that's all we have on the agenda. Cool. I guess that's it.
okay.
All right, thanks.